This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. She sometime soon will be going into surgery, so we need to get this out right away. A psychic surgeon who's with us. That's just part of what she does. This is a new term. I mean, I've talked to psychics, intuitives, energy healers, on and on. Psychic surgery is what we're going to dig into today. And this is all about energy. It's all about healing. It's all about doing it holistically. And it's all in her wheelhouse as a hypnotherapist, Reiki master, and so much more. Adrianne Smith is back with us on the program. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, Steve. How are you?
I'm just amazed. You don't have any scrubs on. You don't have a surgical mask, nothing like that to go into surgery. Wow.
Right. I know it's really wild. When you can do it on the energetic level, you don't need any of that stuff. It's great.
But interestingly, a surgeon, traditional, changes lives, and you using psychic surgery changes lives both for the better. And we're going to dig into that in a moment. But before we even go there, this is all about energy. Everything is energy. We are energy. Everybody vibrates at a different energy. And if I explain this right, how you work with that energy really determines your outcome, what your life is going to be like that. Would that be, on surface level, reasonably true?
I think that is absolutely true. And, like you said, surface level, there's a lot more to it than that. But, as far as a good way to sum it up, I think that's absolutely perfect.
So to explain energy for everybody, how do you explain it?
So energy, gosh, I know it's hard. How do you explain that? Like Einstein said, everything is energy, as you mentioned. And it is so true, whether it is the energy that makes this particular body alive and animated and able to function in this three-dimensional world, um, or, the energy that holds together the little molecules of this crystal and makes it vibrate at a certain frequency. The energy that holds together the quartz crystals that they utilize in ultrasound machines to also use in different forms of healing and assessments of things. And everything really is energy. And it's interesting, the Lakota community that I am very blessed to go to ceremony with, um, the way that the Lakota see it and many Native American cultures, they call it in Lakota Wakantanka, which really means the great spirit or the great mystery, which is that energy, that divine energy that inhabits every living thing and connects all of us, including, this Mother Earth, everything that we have. In Japanese, they call it Reiki, universal life force energy. So, when I study Reiki, when I perform Reiki on a client, that is essentially the same thing that I am tapping into. And it's really not coming from me whatsoever. It's coming from that energy, that divine energy that flows through us all. And all I do is I act as a conduit for it and channel it where it needs to go in order to help someone heal, which really comes down to helping them get unstuck because we are our own healer when it comes right down to it. And sometimes we just need someone like me or another type of practitioner to help us get unstuck so that our own energy can flow unencumbered.
What are
And
some
I
of
think that's
those?
probably the easiest way to sum up what that is.
And very clear, and I appreciate that. When you say we're stuck, what are examples of some of those things that could energetically keep us stuck?
So, oh my gosh, there's as many reasons as there are people on this planet. Really, anytime we experience something that is traumatic, that is troublesome to us, it can create a blockage in the energy flow of our own energetic body, right? And so that can happen, say, for example, someone is abused as a child and they're made to feel horrible about themselves and feel unloved. And, that the child, and this is something that I feel a lot of people could maybe benefit from hearing. When a child feels unloved, they don't stop loving the parents that made them feel that way. They stop loving themselves.
Ooh.
And when that happens, it creates a serious blockage, and it's usually in the heart and the solar plexus chakras, which are, obviously the heart chakra is the center of our energetic being, but that's also how we connect with others on a loving level. And solar plexus is sort of our sense of self. So that sense of self becomes damaged, right? And there can be energetic blockages in areas like this when someone experiences that type of, you know, abuse, psychological, emotional, physical, whatever it is. Um, and in that case, all we need to do is remove what has been placed upon them so that they can simply be who they truly are. And it's so simple, but so powerful when we look at it that way that, we are not defined by the things that happen to us. They happen to us, but they do not define us. And so being able to shed that and really release the things that have been placed upon us allows us to be free and whole and healed.
Mm. I've done a lot of podcasts, studying, work, all of that. I have never heard what you just said, and I completely believe it, but I've never heard it said in those words that when a child feels unloved, I don't even want to even repeat it. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't even want to
Right.
repeat it. When a child feels
It's
unloved,
tough stuff.
they still keep on loving their parent, but they love themselves less and less and less. Whoa. Now, I
Yeah.
actually, Adrienne, this all crystallized, and now it's clear why we have these challenges. And just also want to say here that it doesn't mean a parent may have intentionally tried to make a child feel that way or intentionally said, "Nah, I'm not going to show them love today. I'm not, they're needy." No, it's just life, multiple jobs, work, things going on, and also the way a child
Hmm.
internalizes. Every kid is different. So they may, mom saying, "Oh, hold on,
Right.
little Johnny, hold on. Mom's busy at the stove right now. I can't come and see what you're doing. Give me a moment. I'll be there in a moment." The child could say, Mommy doesn't love me. Mommy doesn't love me. And now they love themselves less. Now keep adding that up over a period of time as a child. Now you're an adult. You don't love yourself. You got to start over
Right.
again, essentially, because
Yeah. And
wow.
it exactly. And like you said, it doesn't even have to be intentional, right? Like these things can happen. And I'm sure, like I am a mother, and I'm sure there's been plenty of times where I have had a moment where it's like, hey, I'm really stressed about something, or I'm really, really busy. Like I can't right now.
Hmm.
But when it becomes a habitual pattern of that child feeling unloved, feeling like their needs are not being met, that's when it becomes a problem. It's not, I'm not talking about the occasional instance that everyone's human, everyone does these things from time to time. But when it becomes, to the degree that it is more often than not that this child is not getting their needs met and not feeling that unconditional love, or even when the love is conditional, right? There's lots of different reasons why this can happen, and no judgment, right? Like no blame, no shame. Spirit does not judge us harshly because, and there is no shame in it. That is what, we would call man thought. That is not spiritual thought. That is man thought. So, when someone feels that way, that is being placed upon us by the human thought. And so that is not, at all what I am saying in this. I am simply, stating that when a child does feel that way, that is the natural inclination, is not to, you know, unlove the parents, but to unlove the self. And that is such, profound healing when someone can recognize that that is what has transpired and be able to then say, and again, with no shame, no judgment to the parents, just simple recognition
Mhm.
and acknowledgement that this is what happened. And then that forgiveness comes in, not only for the parents, but for the self. And self forgiveness is something that is often overlooked,
Mhm.
especially when we have encountered something where, we feel that we were not at fault whatsoever. Well, that's not always true. Even when someone does something horrible to us, there could be a situation where we enabled that to happen. And being able to have that clarity and that self-awareness to know when it is appropriate to say, wow, I recognize my role in allowing this situation to happen, and I forgive myself for allowing that to happen, and I will set boundaries this time so that that does not happen in the future, right? So having that self-awareness, having that acknowledgement and that bigger perspective on things is huge for healing.
Mm.
And so I feel that, getting back to the energy work subject that we were originally starting on, that is something that can be cleared. Those blockages can be cleared, and that awareness can come through crystal clear. And so being able to remove that blockage and have that awareness is what happens when we become unstuck. And at that point, things can flow freely. We know things consciously that we maybe hadn't recognized before. And now we can be our own healer, and we can process the things, and our energy can flow freely. We can remember that we do need that self love above all else, because if we don't have self love, then we're not able to adequately love the people in our lives if we can't love ourselves first.
Well, it's often been said
And
that
that
you,
is
you
where the
need,
generational trauma comes in, where the reason our parents did this to us, even unconsciously, is that they didn't feel love because their parents did it to them. And so being able to do this work on ourselves breaks those generational traumas immediately. And it's really cool stuff.
isn't it amazing being a parent myself as well, knowing what you know now, would you have parented differently?
Mm. Knowing what I know now, I certainly would have done a few things differently. I don't feel that I did anything horrible.
Sure,
Obviously, my
sure.
kids are, they're wonderful kids, but I think I would have done things in a more enlightened way. And I certainly would have remembered that self-love for myself a lot sooner. My oldest son is 19 years old, and so, it's been a journey for me over the last, 20 years of motherhood. Um, and I think if I knew what I know now when he was a baby, I would have done things differently. And I would have, definitely, hmm, well, without getting into too many personal details, yeah, I would have loved myself more, and I would have respected myself a lot more.
100%. And I didn't even realize it back then. My son is 19 also. And just even the
Oh,
way we say things, not that we said anything bad, but might have said it in a different way. Like, I would goof around with my kids. I come up with goofy little names, nothing bad, just fun. Like, they'll say something, they'll make up a name, and guess what? My dad did that too. But looking at even something silly dad like, maybe they might think of that, oh, like, dad's not calling me by my name. He's calling me by a fun little name, all in just, endearing. But a child could take that a certain way. So, I don't know. I would be on my radar just a little bit differently in terms of approaching things like that. But now that, we know where we came from, now we're adults, the energy thing, that can rewire
mhm.
our minds, can change the perspectives, all of that when we have energy treatment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because everything is energy, our words, our thoughts, and our actions are also energy, and that has a profound effect on our physical health and our mental health. And that's not even to get into the spiritual health of things, but um, when we speak words that are negative, and especially when we have negative self-talk, that manifests physically. And there's a whole, I don't know if you've ever heard of Louise Hay,
Sure. Hey,
but
hey,
she
house.
was a phenomenal lady.
Yeah.
Hay House, right, exactly. And her book, Heal Yourself, is absolutely amazing. She nails down the energetic imbalances that manifest as physical illnesses.
Mm.
So everything from hives to cancer can be manifested with negative thought patterns. And so when we can reverse that and create positive affirmations for ourselves, we can actually heal ourselves physically. And, having someone who is skilled in the energy work side of things kind of assist with that can be very beneficial as well. Because again, sometimes it's hard when you first start and you feel stuck and you don't know how to get past that. It can feel like it's too much. And so just being able to kind of energetically clear those blockages and then affirm yourself with positivity, it's a huge shift. And like the more that we're learning about quantum science and all kinds of things, I just was reading how they've just discovered that quantum particles that are connected through space and time, the one particle that's in the future can actually affect what happens to the other particle in the past. So even
Hmm.
just having a mindset, I'll have to look up the actual article. Anyone who's interested can probably find it. But yeah, I was just reading about this, how the scientists have discovered, and this is all like peer reviewed, this is legit science, where a particle in the present can affect the way that that particle behaved in the past and vice versa, right? So it's almost as if that quantum entanglement has an effect where the particle now knows what's going to happen to it in the future. So if you see in the present, hey, in the future, I'm going to be healed, I'm going to be healthy and whole. And that is what you manifest. So that is really like a scientific explanation for manifestation,
Yeah. How many people
which is
say,
pretty cool stuff.
Adrianne, wishful thinking? Well, it's more than that. It's way more than that. It's
Yeah.
it's intentionally changing the course of the
Mhm.
future by the way we think. And I'm totally on your
Yes.
page. We can heal ourselves. All the things that and I don't minimize anything for anybody, but those negative thoughts year after year, and the thinking that I'm unhealthy, like I'm old and beat up. No wonder I get out of bed feeling a certain way. That's why you feel a certain way. Change that thinking, give it some time,
Right.
have some energy work done, see how you feel. Just
Yeah,
curious. I think you feel a lot different.
exactly. Yeah, it's so true. And and it takes time too. And I think people, often underestimate how much consistency and discipline it takes in your thought processes to really shift those old patterns. Because, the way that I like to say it is it took you years to get to this point. It's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
You're going to have at least half the amount of time that you spent getting yourself in this situation to recover it. And honestly, though, it can happen faster than that. I'm not saying if it took you 10 years to get to this point, it's going to take you 5 years to recover. Time isn't linear like that, but it's just kind of a good way to acknowledge the fact that it took you time to kind of get yourself into this rut, and it's going to take you time to create a new pattern that is healthy. And being established in that and demonstrating consistency and discipline in whenever you feel a negative thought coming on, consciously stopping yourself and remembering, nope, I'm going to change this and I'm going to start with this positive affirmation instead. it actually rewires your synapses when you do that. When you stop yourself from, having a negative thought, or you stop yourself from becoming angry and take time to calm down and think it through and think of things more positively, it literally rewires your synapses.
We all
And
have
that
those
is
negative thoughts.
powerful healing.
And
Yeah,
to your
it's
point,
natural.
it's natural. And many of them are in us to protect us. That's many of those thoughts are going around there as
Hmm.
a mechanism for safety. And to your point, let's say somebody, it's a habit. So somebody is a smoker, or you don't eat as well as you should. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to rewire your brain. You have to create certain
Hmm.
habits. You're thinking, I'll do it. I'll have a
Yes.
negative thought. I'm like, whoop. In my mind, I'm saying, whoop, whoop, stop, stop, rewind. I think of it in terms of media because that's what I do. And I
Hmm.
say, stop, rewind, play. That's how I do it. Stop, rewind, play. When I have a negative thought, it's almost like I'm going to press the play button again. We're going
That's
to do this over
perfect.
again. Hey, whatever works
Like,
for you.
no, we're gonna redo.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that is, I think a lot of what it comes down to is it is a conscious choice that we have to make every day, every time.
Mm,
And so, there's where that personal accountability comes in our own healing process. No one can do that work for you. You have to choose it and consistently choose it, um, for it to be effective. Because you can go to any number of energy worker, hypnotherapist, counselor, doctor, whatever you want to do. You can get on all the psychotropic medications in the world, and it's not going to fix you
nope.
if you are not prepared to do that work yourself and to make those choices consistently.
I think I shared with you. Hypnotherapy was great for me. Just one modality, same thing with energy healing, all of that. But I suggested
Mhm.
hypnotherapy to someone I'm very, very close to, and even suggested the practitioner before we met. And they did 3 sessions. It's not working, just not working. I know their personality. They weren't ready for it to work. I just know it. There's just not
Right.
even a thought.
Right.
That's the way they're wired.
Oh,
They need to
it's
unwire that. So
mhm,
when we talk about psychic surgery, is that
mhm.
essentially you using intuition and energy healing to change the way somebody thinks in terms of negativity and also clear out their energy?
It can do a number of things, and it really just depends on where I feel called, where the client feels called to do this particular kind of work. It can be anything from, maybe you had a relationship that ended and your ex kind of still has their hooks in you. And it can be something like removing that and releasing them with love. It can be something like, okay, there's this big blockage around your heart. Like you've really protected your heart from being hurt. And now it feels like, this shield you've put around yourself is as heavy as a stone. And being able to kind of go in and clear that out of there
Mm,
energetically, and allowing the person, what I do is I always allow the person to know what precisely I'm clearing so that they can verbally affirm that they are releasing this. And sometimes it's the root of something that they thought that they cleared, and it's really still there, but just like a thistle, if you leave a tiny little bit of the root, it's going to eventually come back and, rear its head again and prickle at you all day, every day. So you have to really get in there and say, like, okay, no, 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 there's still a little root of this in there. And where is this coming from? What is this attached to? And consciously recognizing what that is and removing it energetically, as well as consciously releasing that. So that is where the psychic surgery can come in really handy in helping people to kind of move past those blockages and really consciously become aware of what those blockages are so that they can readdress those thought patterns and create positive ones.
this is what you do. And it's
It's
life changing.
simple.
Life changing. Um, You do a lot, like right there, yeah, from the energy healing, the intuitive side of you, animal Reiki, hypnotherapy, so many different
Mhm.
modalities. It's like, you got a tool to help
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
and change their lives.
Oh, and I get to do the psychic surgery on animals too, which is really fun. So
Oh,
the Reiki energy work, psychic surgery can also be done on animals and equines. Personally, I love working on horses because they are just such majestic beings. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand them fully. And there's a lot of, you know, not great training methods that people have embraced, and they can be very detrimental to the horse mentally, and physically. So being able to kind of go in there and use my intuition and my connection with them energetically to help them clear traumas that they have had so that they can move forward in a healthier way, and also working with the human so that they are aware of what exactly has transpired with this animal, and allowing them to work with the animal in a more positive way, again reinforcing the new positive patterns and those new neural pathways that are being connected, and having the human help the animal. It's really amazing stuff, and I'm just so honored that I get to be a channel for this type of healing. It's very much, it is a huge.
I can feel it from you. I literally can feel your energy. I really can. And even talking about horses, we've had a discussion before. You want to you want to feel something? Find a horse and stare into its eyes and just take 5 minutes, three
Mm.
minutes, if that, at a peaceful moment with that horse. You'll you'll definitely feel something if you're open to it. The horse has got so much more going on there than we ever realize.
That is so true. And, like if you ever doubt that for a second, just think about, I mean, they're so intuitive. They can feel our heartbeat from 4 feet away. They know they can read us the second we walk into their pasture. They can just
Yep.
sense us immediately. And if you ever doubt how amazing and majestic they are, just think about the fact that they are massive, powerful beings who could stomp us flat in a second if they chose to. But instead, they feel our energy and they allow us tiny, frail little humans to ride on their backs.
Yep.
They will allow themselves to carry us on their backs and help us because they know our hearts. And the people that they don't like, you can tell. Those
Oh,
are
they,
the ones that they're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to carry you, buddy.
they know,
But
and they say
they
dog is
know
man's
they
best
have a
friend.
sense.
You know,
Yeah.
okay, I get you on that. But look at history and how horses have enhanced our lives. And it's not just because they're a work animal,
Hmm.
it's because
Oh,
they
yeah.
want to, because they have already read us and figured
Yeah.
us energetically out. By the way,
It's because they choose to.
they choose
And
to.
and um and it's interesting how, they say dogs are a man's best friend. Well, the Lakota word for horse is Shunkawakan, which translates to sacred dog.
Never knew that.
So
Wow.
it's like man's best friend, but a sacred version of it. And it is powerful when you think about it. So yeah, they are really amazing beings, and I am so, so grateful that I get to work with them, and to have three of them in my life personally is just beautiful.
I'm envious that you get to. And I think I shared with you, I went away on a, private little, not private, but just a solo retreat for a few days over a weekend. There was a horse in a
Hmm.
field that I hung out with. We became buddies. Um, I'm going back there, and I'm hoping,
Yeah.
I'm trusting the horse is doing well and is there because love to hang out with him again. It was kind of life changing. How do we find you? What's the best way,
Yeah.
Adrienne?
Beautiful. So my website is wildhearthealingco.com, and I'm on Facebook as Wild Heart Healing.
Thank you for today. Thank you for all the insight. And,
Yes, thank you,
it's
Steve.
scientifically proven. We're not making this up. Go Google it. It's there. And your life can change once you work with somebody like Adrianne and harness the power of vibration and energy. Again, thank you. We'll catch up again next time.
Thanks so much, Steve. Have a great one.
You too. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.